right, starting 6.2, sorry, 6.4. Okay, so interpret statistical summaries. Okay, this is a very simple lesson. It doesn't require much math at all. Okay, so we can interpret or put stuff into graphs. So we have multiple bar graph, a split bar graph, and multiple bar graph, split bar graph, and relative split. Okay, multiple is there's multiple bars, so they are side by side. Okay, split bar graphs, different colors in one bar, and they have different amounts. So we're just adding up amounts together in one. Okay, and the difference between a split bar and a relative split is this is the total numbers, this is the percentage. Okay, and these ones always add up to 100%. Okay, so just something small here. When you have data, it should be reliable and valid. So to be reliable, it should be able to be duplicated. Okay, and the more trials that you do, the more accuracy you have. Valid is this results that accurately represent the entire population. Okay, and together, data should be both. So data should be both reliable and valid. Okay, so the first one we're going to go through is page 292, example 1. Okay, so here. So number 1 says interpreting measures of central tendency. Okay, so here it says, in a recent headline, Americans are significantly wealthier than Canadians. Okay, so it shows that in 2011, the income per capita, per person in Canada was 38 and the US was 42. Okay, then a separate publication came out and it showed this graph here. So these are two separate ones. So one is saying Canada was at 38, US is 42. And then this one says the median total household income in Canada, US. So Canada is the orange and then US is blue. And you can see this also has 2011. So in 2011, it shows that the US is actually lower than the Canadian one. So A says, interpret these statements and explain what might cause the discrepancy. Okay, so if it was in class, I would try to get you guys to figure it out, but I'm just going to tell you. There's key things. So here it says income per capita. Per capita means per person. So it's saying per person. If you're doing per person, you are doing an average. Okay, so you're doing an average or a mean. So the average in Canada was 38 and the US was 42. But this chart here shows a median. So it shows the middle value. Okay, so that's the difference between mean and median. So as we learned previously, that we know that the mean can be greatly affected by higher or lower values. So in the US, there are many millionaires, billionaires, whatever. So their average is going to go up based on those people. Okay, so that's why they are shown to be higher in this information here. So they're both telling the truth. They're just using different pieces of information. So one was the average, and then here is the median. Okay, so here it shows us at just over 55, whereas the US as 50. Okay, and then one here, if you look at this thing, I'm going to be says compare the medians, what we just did. So 55,000 versus 50, and then discuss the vertical scale. Okay, so it looks like a big gap here because of the scale. So it's only a $5,000 difference, but it makes it look a lot larger because the scale starts at 42,000. It doesn't start at 0. So if you started at 0 and went 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, this gap would look a lot smaller. Okay, but since they started at 42 and up by 2000s, this gap here seems a lot larger than it should be. Okay, so that was example 1, the textbook. Okay, now number 2, we're going to go and create a multiple split and relative split bar graphs. Okay, and then we're going to say which one clearly shows which gender likes math more, gender or sex. Okay, so here we have results. We say males, that we ask males, see if they like or dislike math. So there's 44 that like it, 26 that don't. Females 61 and 47. Okay, so we're gonna first do a multiple bar graph. So multiple bar graph is when you have bars side by side. Okay, so we're gonna do, I don't put enough, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Okay, so males like it, 44. And if you want to do a little legend, so let's say for those who like, I'm going to use this little, like a box like that. And the ones that don't like, I'll just use a clear box. Okay, so 44. That's for those who like. And 26 do not. Okay, so female 61 like math. And 47 do not. Let's say about there. Okay, so that would be a multiple bar graph. Okay, another way you could have you could put this 2 different ways. You could also put the scale of, this could have been who likes math, and then those who don't. So you could make these based on male, female. Okay, and then this down here would be like math, don't like math. So there's different ways you could make your x-axis. Okay, now we're going to do a split. So the split is when we add them together. So we're going to have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. So if we add them together, so for males it'd be 70, and for females we would have 108. Okay, so for males we're going to go up to all the way up to 70. So about here. And females will be up to 108. Ship up there. Okay, and then we're gonna have multiple bars in one based on the total. So we have 44 that like math, so at 44 like math. That means the remainder 26 do not, so we add them together. And then for females, 61. So about here. Okay, so that would be, so this is based, the split is based on the total numbers, because the relative split is going to look very similar as the split, but this will be based on percentage. Okay, and if I can find my calculator now. Okay, so now we're going to do the relative split. So we're going to base them on percentages. So we have to now find percent of each. So for males, it's 44 out of 70. So if I do 44 divided by 70, oops, we get roughly 63%. So I'm gonna put this in brackets, 63%. Should be 37. Yeah, 37 that don't like it. Okay, and then for females, 61 divided by 108 gives us 56. So 56%, which means this one would be 44%. Okay, so we're going to now draw the bars. They have to add up to 100. So we have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%. So they're all both going to go up to 100. They have to go up to 100.